Hello everybody, and so I'm going to show you how I've been doing this. I've been talking about it and just saying I've done it, but I've ripped all the moss out, sucked out all the duckweed that's floating on the surface. Going to reset this tank to be a bare bottom Guppy tank eventually. I don't have a line to put in it, but as you can see, this was a yellow goldenback tank, and there's a bunch of I don't know what in here, so I'll probably not even keep the shrimp that are in here. Well, I'll keep them, but I'm not sure. I probably just put them all in the pond. I was looking and seeing a bunch of really good yellow goldenbacks, but then just now seeing that crap in there. There's a red one, wild one. Maybe I'll take the good ones out. There's some really good ones in here, like that one. I'll probably catch them out and put them in here. That's probably what I'll end up doing. But I am going to suck most of the water out so I can pull the tank out a few inches, and then I can get at everything. I've been lazy this weekend, but I did my water changes and stuff that needed done this week, but I hadn't continued resetting the tanks. I'm going to get at least one done this weekend, maybe another one. This tank has a whole bunch of really good moss in it. But so suck this out. I leave maybe an inch of water. Pull it out so I can get that. I forgot I even had that giant rock in there. So I can get that giant rock out of there. Catch out the shrimp that are in there and do what I want to do with them, sort them out, and then we'll see how that goes. So right now the water is just being sucked out. I'll probably suck it down to about an inch, and I can pull the tank out without worrying about breaking it, and then it'll be a lot easier to work on. I'll show you how to redo these filters, sponge filters for these tanks, power heads I use, and all that fun stuff. So, if you haven't been watching other videos, you're just wondering why I'm doing this. All these 20-gallon longs are going to be guppies or endlers of some sort. And you have problems a lot of times. I keep hitting my dang elbow on this thing. And you get, it's either some kind of guppy wasting disease, parasitic, I'm not entirely sure. It seems to be the only way to combat it is with doing bare bottom tanks. So, if I'm going to seriously keep guppies or endlers, which I want to, I am going to make sure I make it as easy on myself as possible. So that's about good enough as far as getting the water drained down. Now I'm going to see about pulling this tank out. I'm not sure. Well, pretty good. Oh, okay. Now I've got some more room to work with. And you can tell I knocked in some straight duckweed. I'm not trying to gather up duckweed in my net when I'm catching these remaining shrimp. So I'm going to get this duckweed out. Just so it's not such a hassle to deal with. I'm trying to get as little water as possible. Alright, so I got this little specimen container, and it's all gunk water. I'm gonna get some water from another tank that ain't so gunk. Alright, I'll be back. And here we are, we have caught the keepers. These are the ones I deem fit enough to continue in another line, and there's a bunch. There might be a few more that I might end up keeping here, but I don't think so. So now the next step that we see here, they're gonna go live in this tank right here with the other yellow golden backs. So we'll go. Enjoy. Enjoy. Got them all. So now I got a bunch of new beauties in here. They're just being wasted in that tank. There's probably about 25 of them or so, I'd say. Now they can live with all their other yellow goldenback friends. And the super red plecos, look at them, they're getting big now. They're getting big. Okay, next step is going to be catching all the uglies that we can and putting them in the pond. So I'm just going to head over here, get some pond water. Yeah, look at that. Can't even stick a freaking dipper in there without catching guppies. So I'm going to pause this while I try to catch all these undesirables out. I'm going in the pond, the coal tank. And something about I forgot to say is that's a sponge filter in the brick. Put it in a bucket of clean dechlorinated water to keep the beneficial bacteria intact. So now what we've done, I started to catch some of the other shrimp and just too hard, so I piled all the substrate that I could in a corner here, like so. So then the ones that are left, it'll be easier to catch. We just gotta let this murk water settle for a few minutes. And then once we can get to the point where we can see the shrimp, that'll make it a whole lot easier to catch these guys out. Hopefully. So I just wanted to show you where I'm at now. And oh yeah, while we are waiting for that to clear up to catch a shrimp easier, we have all this duckweed stuck on the side, and it is important to get that out, or it's just going to end up, when you fill the tank back up, you're just going to have a tank full of duckweed again. I take the big long extender tube out. It's a lot easier to get up underneath the sides here without that big long tube. Now that you see what I'm doing, I won't bore you to death, but I wanted to include that little segment. Okay, so now all the shrimp are out to the best of my ability. So next step is the fun part of getting all the sand out. And I get the bulk of it out with hand power. As gross as that may be, is how I do it. I get all that I can out with hand power, and then when I'm done with that, I clean it up with the shop vac. Some of them, when I first started doing this, I was just doing it all with the shop vac with that soot. It sucks literally with the shop vac doing that, but the shop vac, like getting clogged up, the hose, I mean, I just got a little tiny cheap shop vac that I've had for years, and it'll do it, but getting all this out of the shop vac sucks. Sucks pretty hard. So then we start getting down to just like muck, like this pretty much. That's when I go to the shop vac. I want to pause this and rinse my hand off because pretty gross. Now for the fun mechanized part of this process. Hear me or not. So another reason I like to remove the tube on this Because this has a smaller opening than the tube. So it has more suction power, which is needed. Good enough. Alright. So now, get this out of my way. The next step is the filter part. So, I'm going to go and rinse this off, get it all cleaned out, because it's pretty gross. Then we'll check out and show you how I set that up. Okay, so now I want to talk about how I do these DIY PVC sponge filters. This is what was in there before, and it had a cap on it. This sponge is still damp. I just clean it off, and it's damp. So the beneficial bacteria does not die. But see, this is what I have right here, coming through these holes, and it's going to end up going like this with a coupler. But then the problem we're going to, because this coupler, I use the couplers for a couple of reasons. First, when you stick it in here like this, you see this gap right there? Around there, these sponges, they're not quite, they fit snugly around the 1 inch. And when it comes with PVC, a 1 inch is the same size of as a 3/4 inch coupler. Then what we're going to end up having is we want, okay, I'm going to show you this thing right here. First I got to take this out, but if we have it like this, see how that's snug like that? There is no gap, just that coupler just sits in there nice and snug, just like that. So what we want to do is that sitting like that. See, there's a coupler with a cap on the bottom. We want to make it so that this is up on that. So we need to cut this piece of PVC probably about right there. We want to take off a little over 1 inch maybe, I'd say. So if I can do this on camera, we shall see it. Trying to zoom out a little bit. Okay. You're going to do this and you have a whole bunch of tanks. It is good to have yourself a pretty decent PVC cutting knife. Alright. So I know this is really crappy, but I can't. Alright. So, maybe cutting off about that much, I think. These, crank it down. Crank it down. Crank it down. Crank it down. Then we're left with that, and it's not a real good cut because I was trying to do filming at the same time. Anyway, that goes like that now. So it sits on the bottom. It sits up above the top. We shove it down in there, and we have perfection. Almost flush at the bottom. Will be. Let's see. Yeah, about flush at the bottom. And then that is perfect. Ooh, excuse me. Now I'm going to show you how these Aquanate 250 gallon per hour pumps fit on these. Brand new, still in the box. Aquanate 768. Now, mind you, I just bought 10 of these because I did have the little tiny 60 gallon per hour power heads on there, but they don't really do a whole lot. I guess they're alright if you get it set up right for shrimp, but with this being Guppy, for guppies I want some good flow, sweeping the bottom, stirring up the tank, some current. Now, there's a trick with these things. On small tanks, I'll show you what I like to do. Now, there's the piece. This is a current director. This goes on the output, which is right there. Now, some of it still comes out this hole right here. But with this, what you can do with this is if you want to use this as a pump, you can use this as a flow director, or it comes with one of these fittings where you can hook up a piece of tubing and pump water up out of the tank. So you like use it to do water changes or anything, something. You still have to find something to plug that up. I don't know why they have both those on there like that, but anyway. Now you see what I'm talking about. This little thing right here, this opening here, is the exact same size as a 3/4 inch PVC pipe, which means it will fit. Well, it will fit, but this is insanely hard to do and film at the same time. Which, alright, you just have to set you down while I do it. This takes 2 hands apparently. Yeah. Just like so. Nice and snug. Alright. So now we gotta hurry up and get this in the tank, get the tank filling up with water before this thing dries out on us. Because if it dries out, we will lose our beneficial bacteria. Now, begin with this flow director I was talking about earlier. On my 40-gallon tanks, I just shoot it to sweep across the tank, like so. But on the 20 longs, I prefer to just leave it off and it just shoots it straight up. And because with the 20 long, it's too much current flowing across the tank. It turns the tank into a whirlpool. But if you just leave it shooting straight up, does alright. And like I said, some of it still comes out this opening here, so you still get some distribution of water across the tank. And it comes with a strainer, which obviously I'm not needing anything like that. And then, but if these are on sale on Amazon, I got 10 of them. They're like less than $9. They're like $8.95 or something. So, I mean, they're cheap Chinese crap, but they work good. I've been using 10 of them for almost a year, and I've only had one fail on me, and that was because I was running it dry like an idiot during the water change. So, that's another thing. When you set this up, think about that. You want it to make sure that when you do your water changes, this is still going to be underwater. You're going to have to piss with unplugging it every time, and that's not always easy. Dealing with all the cords I got going on, so I like to get it down so I can still do a 50% water change, and the pump's still wet. Now, mind you, with these pumps, when they get going and they suck so hard, usually you can get the water down to about here. And it will still keep pumping. Because remember the holes I drilled in that PVC pipe, once the water level gets below the holes, that's when you start having problems with it. But all the way to here is still like coupler. So it'll be able to get down to there before it starts losing suction. Okay, let's get this in the tank, get it ready to go, and get the tank filling up with water. Alright, now we're filling her back up. There's safe in there, same thing as prime, the chlorinator. Got the tank slid back into place, got the bucket, or got the filter put in there right. Got the, with the power head. Sure it's filling up real good, because I slid between the glass. So you can see what we got going on here. And I got a plug in down there. I'm going to plug that in too. But before we plug it in, we want to make sure the water level is up to the power head, because we don't want to run it dry, because that is the only way I've managed to break these. And the brick is in there to hold it in place. Same thing over here. You see the good current. Giving the Ludwig you. So, there you go. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about why I do this. I've had, those of you who've been following me for a long time, I know I had all kinds of guppies in these nice, big, pretty 40-gallon tanks. And I ended up spending hundreds of dollars in meds. Still ended up losing 2 lines. My tuxedo koi line all died. My panda guppies didn't all die, but then they ended up being sterile, apparently, from too much meds. So I ended up saving most of my other lines. But pretty much everything except the Japan blues and the red mosaics were affected by it, and it's no fun to deal with. Sucks. My Endlers are even affected by it pretty bad. The rainbow tiger Endlers. Look at all the babies up there. This is going to be a huge colony before long. But now we're doing the bare ground, so then every time I do a water change or something happens, I'm going to have to medicate. All these internal parasite issues, when you medicate, you have to vacuum real good, the substrate, and that's just not really in the cards. and painted tanks. So this is what we're doing right now. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna pause this and get it plugged in. And now, see, it's still shooting out across, out that one opening there, but most of the flow is coming straight up the top. I guess I probably should have cleaned the inside of the glass while I had all the water out, but I didn't. But I'm not super worried about looking perfect. So now, since everything's been removed out of here, I'll go through some tanks, and I don't have any lines to put in here right now. So I'm gonna put in a handful of snails, bunch of snails, and just lightly feed it. Now keep the tank cycled and give it time to adjust. These other ones I've already had, and I've been adding safe to it just in case the cycle's messed up. But the shrimp are doing fine, and if the shrimp are doing fine, the guppies will be fine. And so I don't think there's any problems about losing the cycle of these tanks. So let this guy finish filling up. And then the next thing we need to do is get some moss, get it sorted out, make sure there ain't any duckweed on it, rinse it out real good, because I made a mistake of that moss in that tank, not rinsing it out. And that tank is getting kind of cloudy, but all these other tanks, I've learned my lesson, rinsed it out, and we got crystal clear bare bottom tanks. So that's what we are waiting on here. We're going to wait for this to get filled up. And then I'll clean the outside of the glass, all that fun stuff. Okay, I'll be back. That's the sink off. But here is, I'm just going to pick out some nice healthy looking pieces out of this mess. Let's see. Most of that tank was so overgrown with duckweed. The moss is in horrible condition. I mean, it'll still green up and be alright. So we're going to take about that much. And we don't want too hot of water or too cold of water. Get it back to about tank temp. And I'm going to rinse this moss off. Get all the junk rinsed out of it, and get all the duckweed out. That's what we're doing now. Okay, and then we're left with something like this. Oh, I'm wore out. And I just had to suck some more duckweed out with the shop vac, but there's still always going to be duckweed in these freaking tanks. I hate it so bad. I've tried, I don't know how many things to get rid of it, but staying on top of it is the most important part. The less you keep in there, the lower you keep it, then the slower it comes back. So, this is an old mess right here. I got these old hard water stains. This is actually from when I had all these things were powered by air, and there's a air stone going right here, and it would splash, and all the crap would run down the side of the tank. So I'm trying to get all this really bad lime scale with a razor blade. Not sure how much of that I'm getting, but if you get like a used tank or something and you don't know what to do, there's a bunch of crap on it you can't get off, this is the best way to do it. Just a razor blade, utility knife blade. You get like a 6-pack for like $1.99 or something at the hardware store. And that's what I use. Get that crap off. Let's see here. This tank is so gross, which is my fault, clearly. Alright, set this razor blade right there. And I talked about these for a second last night. These invisible glass wipes. This tank, the outside glass here, has not been wiped off in probably a year and a half. I am guessing. So, let's see what one of these things can do. The inside of this tank is still not real good. Most of this is on the inside of the tank, I believe. Let's see here. I don't know if that's showing up. It's probably just you're getting this whole shakiness. These wipes are really nice, invisible glass. Then you ain't got to worry about trying to use glass cleaner, getting glass cleaner in the tank. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good considering the state it was in before I wiped it down. I would say it's in pretty decent shape now compared to what we was dealing with before. I got some more moss I may end up putting in there, but probably not. That moss will grow and take over. I mean, a lot of this moss in these other tanks look like crap. Just like that. This one was like completely dead. And it's starting to come back in just like a week. So it'll bounce back. I'm not even worried about that. And that's what we got. Ready for Guppy or Endler line. Bare bottom. Hopefully super resistant. Well, not resistant, but the wasting disease, parasites, whatever it is. Whenever I treat with my anti-parasitic, Pro, General Cure, what have you. Now I can, when I do the water change afterwards, I can vacuum everything out. Every time I do a water change, vacuum it out. Keeping it a lot more pristine for these guppies that are pretty weak these days from inbreeding. The really nice guppies anyway. They're not tough and they're susceptible to diseases and whatnot. this makes it a lot easier to handle. So anyway, I don't know how long this video is going to end up being. Probably way too long. But if you've stuck around this long, thank you for watching. Hope you'll have a good rest of the week.